Welcome to Cyber Safety Lesson 4, Professional Cybersecurity Practices for Remote and Freelance Work. Many designers now work from home studios, co-working spaces, client sites, or even while traveling. This flexibility supports creativity and balance, but also places designers outside the structured security measures of traditional offices. When working independently, we are responsible for safeguarding information, assets, and client relationships. In this lesson, we'll cover how to secure files, communication, and devices in remote settings, protect the platforms you rely on, and manage multiple clients responsibly. Strong cybersecurity practices protect not only data, but also your reputation, professional relationships, and the trust clients place in you. With this foundation in mind, let's look at what you'll accomplish in this session. Now that you have an overview, let's review the specific objectives you'll be working toward. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to identify common risks that occur when working remotely and apply security habits that protect both personal and client materials outside traditional office environments. You'll learn how to safeguard home and public networks, use VPNs and multi-factor authentication effectively, and maintain secure storage practices across multiple active projects. You'll also learn how to communicate your security standards clearly and confidently, helping clients understand how you protect their work throughout the design process. These skills strengthen your professional credibility, support ethical decision-making, and reinforce the trust that clients place in you. Before we dive into the details, let's pause for a quick self-assessment to see where you currently stand. Before we begin, take a moment to reflect on how you currently manage your workflow when you're away from a structured work environment. Do you ever connect to public Wi-Fi while working on client projects? Where do you store drafts if you're collaborating from personal devices at home? If you're juggling multiple clients, how do you keep their materials separated and protected? And if a device were lost or compromised, how easily could you restore your files and continue working? Keep these thoughts in mind as we move through the lesson. We'll return to them at the end to consider how your habits and awareness may shift. Keeping those thoughts in mind, let's talk about why remote security is such an important part of professional design work. Remote work gives designers independence, flexibility, and creative freedom. But operating outside a managed workplace also means operating without institutional security systems, routine monitoring, or dedicated IT support. Home and public environments expose client information to increased risk through unprotected networks, shared devices, or accidental leaks. When you work remotely, you're responsible for securing the digital spaces where client work lives. Strong security practices demonstrate that you can handle sensitive information responsibly, even when systems and locations vary. Protecting client materials is not only a technical task, it reinforces your reputation as a dependable professional whose work can be trusted in any setting. Understanding the importance of security helps us make sense of the growing shift toward freelance and hybrid roles. So let's take a closer look at that trend. More designers than ever are working as freelancers or in hybrid roles that mix on-site and remote work. This shift allows designers to choose their clients, set flexible schedules, and build independent creative careers. But working outside a centralized team also means that designers are responsible for maintaining secure storage, communication, and device practices on their own. Instead of relying on an employer's security protocols, remote designers must create their own systems for access control, backups, file organization, and communication standards. Flexibility and accountability work together. Your workflow should support both creative freedom and responsible information handling. With more designers working independently, it's important to recognize the risks that come with remote environments. Remote environments introduce risks that may not exist in traditional office settings. Public Wi-Fi networks at cafes or airports can expose browsing activity and file transfers to anyone else on the network. A home Wi-Fi device with weak passwords or outdated firmware can serve as easy access points for attackers. Shared family devices or synced accounts can unintentionally expose client materials, even without malicious intent. To work professionally, treat any environment where client materials appear as a secure workspace. This mindset helps you take responsibility for the tools and environments that support your projects, ensuring that convenience doesn't compromise confidentiality. One of the biggest areas where these risks show up is on the devices you use every day. So let's explore how to keep them secure. Your laptop, phone, and tablet are often the primary locations where client drafts, messages, and research live. Because these devices function as your studio, securing them is essential. Full disk encryption ensures that if a device is lost or stolen, the information stored on it cannot be accessed. Automatic screen locks, strong authentication, and regular updates help prevent unauthorized access and patch vulnerabilities before attackers can exploit them. Your goal is to ensure that losing a device never means losing your client's data or their trust. Device protection forms one of the strongest lines of defense in remote work. To see why this matters, here's a real-world example of how a simple oversight can lead to major consequences. Consider a common scenario. A freelance designer stored files for multiple clients in a personal cloud account, rather than a dedicated professional workspace. A shared link was misconfigured, allowing public access to confidential drafts. Although the leak was accidental, it damaged client relationships and led to lost work. This situation highlights how small organizational habits, such as separating personal and client storage or routinely reviewing access permissions, can prevent major consequences. Security is often built through quiet, routine discipline rather than dramatic technical tools. Now that we've seen how mistakes can happen, let's shift to securing one of your most common workspaces, your home network. Your home network is the foundation of your remote workflow. Even if your devices are secure, weak network settings can leave information exposed. Start by using a strong, unique Wi-Fi password and enabling WPA2 or WPA3 encryption on your router. Update your router's firmware regularly, since older versions may contain known vulnerabilities. One important step that is often overlooked is changing default administrator credentials. Default logins are publicly documented, making them easy targets for unauthorized access. Treat your home network with the same care you would expect in a professional workplace. When your network is secure, the files, communication, and platforms connected to it are better protected as well. Of course, not all work happens at home, so it's important to understand the risks that come with public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi offers convenience, but it also creates significant risk. Shared networks allow attackers to intercept traffic, monitor activity, or impersonate legitimate hotspots to capture logins and files. Working on designs in a coffee shop may feel harmless, but even routine tasks, checking email, accessing cloud folders, uploading assets, can expose sensitive information. Avoid accessing client accounts or transferring files on public networks whenever possible. If you must work remotely, use a trusted mobile hotspot or a VPN to encrypt data. Disabling automatic Wi-Fi connections also prevents devices from joining unsafe networks without your awareness. A single unsecured connection can compromise an entire project. To illustrate just how quickly things can go wrong, here's another scenario designers face all too often. Imagine a designer finishing a campaign at a cafe. Under time pressure, they upload final files using an open public network. Unknown to them, a malicious user on the same network intercepts the transfer, gaining access to unreleased branding concepts and confidential materials. The leak wasn't caused by sophisticated hacking, it resulted from a moment of convenience. This example demonstrates how everyday habits affect client trust. A secure network, a VPN, or waiting to upload files on a trusted connection could have prevented the incident entirely. When deadlines are tight, professionalism includes choosing the safest option rather than the fastest. Situations like this are exactly why tools like VPNs are so valuable when working remotely. A virtual private network, or VPN, encrypts communication between your device and the internet. This type of protection is especially useful when working outside private networks, since it prevents attackers from viewing traffic or intercepting file transfers. A VPN is particularly valuable for accessing shared platforms, login portals, and cloud storage on public Wi-Fi. While VPNs strengthen security, they should be used alongside other protections such as strong passwords, updated software, and device encryption. Think of a VPN as one layer in a broader system rather than a complete solution on its own. Layered defenses reduce risk more effectively than relying on any single tool. Alongside VPNs, another major layer of protection is multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication adds a second layer of protection to your accounts, requiring verification beyond a password. Even if a password is stolen or guessed, Unauthorized users cannot access the account without a secondary code, physical key, or app based approval. This safeguard is essential for platforms that store or transmit client files, including email, cloud storage, and collaboration tools. Turning on MFA takes very little time, but it can prevent extensive damage. Accounts connected to professional work should always include this protection. Strong passwords secure the entry point, and MFA confirms that the person entering truly is you. Next, let's look at how secure cloud storage fits into a strong, reliable workflow. Cloud platforms provide powerful tools for storing, organizing, and backing up design work, but their effectiveness depends on how intentionally they are configured. Select storage services that offer encryption and clear access controls. Review link settings before sharing files and restrict access to specific collaborators whenever possible. Keep personal and professional materials in separate accounts or locations, so client information is not mixed with unrelated content. A consistent security routine supports a trusted workflow, updating software, backing up projects, encrypting devices, securing home Wi-Fi devices, and enabling MFA forms strong habits that operate quietly in the background while you work. To highlight why consistent storage habits matter, here's another common scenario. Consider a situation where a freelancer syncs project files to a personal cloud drive. That same account is connected to a shared home computer, making confidential client materials visible to others unintentionally. No one intended to breach security, but access extended beyond the appropriate audience. This scenario underscores why personal and professional storage must remain separate. Dedicated work accounts, isolated folder systems, and device permissions help maintain consistent boundaries. Small choices like these reinforce professionalism and protect client relationships. This brings us to the challenge of balancing convenience with security, something remote workers encounter daily. Remote work encourages efficiency, but convenience can quickly outweigh caution when deadlines are tight. You might reuse a personal device for a quick task, store files on an easily accessible drive, or skip a secure login process because it takes longer. These shortcuts may seem harmless in the moment, but can create vulnerabilities that affect both clients and your professional reputation. Security doesn't require perfection, it requires awareness. Recognizing when you're choosing speed over protection helps you adjust your habits. Thoughtful decisions ensure that efficiency and responsibility work together rather than in opposition. And this balance becomes even more important when you're managing multiple clients at once. Freelancers often manage several clients at once, each with unique platforms, timelines, and file structures. Mixing accounts, shared folders, or design assets can lead to confusion or accidental disclosure. Keeping each client's materials isolated, whether through separate drives, cloud accounts, or folder systems, helps maintain confidentiality and supports clear organization. This separation also applies to creative assets. Unless permissions are explicitly granted, work created for one client should not appear in another project. Respecting intellectual property shows professional integrity and reinforces trust across every relationship you manage. Part of managing those clients securely also includes communicating your practices clearly with them. Security is not only a technical responsibility, it is also part of how you communicate and build trust. When clients understand how you store files, manage access, and protect information, they feel confident in your process. A brief explanation during onboarding or project setup can set expectations early and clarify the systems you use. Clear communication shows that you take ownership of both the creative and operational aspects of your work. When clients see that you are intentional about protecting their materials, they view you not only as a designer, but as a responsible partner in their strategic goals. To show why strong habits matter, let's look at a few well-known security breaches. In 2012, Dropbox experienced a major breach when a reused employee password allowed attackers to access sensitive user information. The issue originated from a single credential that was not sufficiently protected. For designers, this incident highlights how one weak password can place entire networks, projects, and client assets at risk. Strong password management and MFA help prevent similar issues. Even trusted platforms rely on users to uphold secure habits. Protecting accounts is a shared responsibility between the tool and the people who use it. The next case demonstrates how individual remote workers can unintentionally impact entire organizations. In 2021, T-Mobile faced a significant breach that exposed large volumes of customer data. Attackers gained access through compromised remote employee credentials at a time when many workers were operating outside traditional office environments. This incident demonstrates how individual security decisions can affect entire organizations, even those with substantial resources. For remote designers, this case reinforces that personal login practices carry broader consequences. Each password, device, and platform becomes part of a larger system. Secure habits help protect not only your own work, but also the clients who depend on you. And while many breaches happen online, physical security plays a major role too, as this next example shows. Not all security incidents occur online. A freelance photographer traveling for a client assignment had their laptop stolen from a vehicle. The device contained unencrypted files, no backups, and no remote tracking enabled. As a result, finished work and client data were permanently lost. This scenario illustrates how physical security is part of cybersecurity. Full disk encryption, secure backups, and device recovery tools protect information even if hardware is compromised. Consider how easily you could restore your work if a device disappeared today. Preparedness prevents loss of both data and credibility. With all of these examples in mind, let's revisit your earlier self-assessment and see what stands out now. Now that we've looked at key strategies for secure remote work, take a moment to think back on your first responses. What parts of your workflow already support good security habits? Where could a small tweak make a real difference? Maybe it's turning on MFA for all your accounts, locking down your home Wi-Fi device, or setting up dedicated storage for client files. Strong security habits grow through consistency. Every smart choice builds trust with your clients and keeps your workflow smooth. Think about how you can weave these habits into your day-to-day routine. All right, let's go over the key practices from this lesson. Keep your home and public networks secure to stop unauthorized access. Protect your devices with updates, encryption, and strong authentication. Use VPNs, strong passwords, and MFA to keep files and communications safe across platforms. Keep client projects separate from personal materials, and be clear about your processes to build trust. Freelance work gives you freedom, but that freedom comes with responsibility. Being professional isn't just about design skills, it's also about how you protect the information clients share with you. When security becomes part of your routine, it strengthens your reputation and your client relationships. And finally, remember, these habits help set you up for long-term success. You've now completed Cyber Safety Lesson 4, Professional Cybersecurity Practices for Remote and Freelance Work. As you design for clients in different environments, remember, secure habits protect not just your files and devices, but also long-term trust and collaboration. Keep applying these practices as you work independently, communicate with clients, and manage projects at home, in the studio, or on the go. By making security a routine part of your workflow, you're supporting both your creative work and your professional reputation.